This one was a little bit thought in my head about making yours yours. Sounds silly, but when you create something, you're going to engineer something. You're going to share something with the public about what you're doing. The problem you're going to have is you're going to have people out there who all of a sudden become experts in what you're trying to do. You hear me on this? Got an acquaintance of mine. He's living in the winery. Talks about a certain percentage of alcohol in this particular wine, and this other guy pops up and says, "Hey, this is not true," and he's talking in big dialogue about wine. But he does nothing to do with wine. He doesn't deal with wine. He doesn't have anything in his life to show for wine except for the fact that he's just blabbing his mouth off about some little information that he knows about wine. In other words, he's one of those kind of guys that reads up about 10 pages of Google and becomes an instant expert. One of those. But yeah, if you live in a winery, you don't know a goddamn thing about wine now, do you? One of those things, you know. So that's a good example. It's a recent example. With my church, for instance, it's in development. It has a certain foundation, but everything is always in flux, and it can be in flux. That's what they call them, bylaws. It's a beautiful thing. But I had a friend of mine who had experience in nonprofits and was drilling me about my church, what he can do, what he can't do, all these things. I even had a person who was helping me with my church initially, and I found that my focus was no longer my focus, so it became that person's focus and maybe another person's focus, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I have a vision, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to manifest it. So what do you do when you get all these different instant experts of your life coming into them? Well, it's going to be hard to do than to say, but get rid of them. Just get rid of them. If you're going to have people who literally do not live by their own example of their own success of what you're trying to do for yourself, then they're not by any means going to help you in doing what you need to do. One of the things I ask when I meet another pastor, are you a founder or an employee? Again, it's only a two answer question. You know, it's either you're an employee of a church or you founded your own church. And when I bump into a founder, he gets my undivided attention. He's walked the walk, he's talked the talk, he went through everything that I went through or has gone through to make a church tangible and has a church that is tangible, right? So that's the kind of person I wouldn't want to talk to. But I've bumped into people who are board members from Florida, from all over the country. I bumped into people who are board members, and they'll tell me a whole different story about what 501c and all this. But again, when it comes to church, it's a different story. So when you manifest something, when you are part of something, and you got people that just simply pop up out of nowhere and become instant experts. I mean, it's one thing if you're well-rounded, you know, if you're a common Renaissance man, if you would. But if you are someone who decided to go and start your own jewelry company, or started your own leathersmithing company, or you decided to go off and do your own jewelry, I said jewelry before, so whatever thing you want to do, if you have someone in your life that pops up all of a sudden and is telling you all about shit, but don't have anything to substantiate what they're saying as an example of their own success in it, that's the kind of person you don't need in your life. I hate to say it, I'm one of those kind of people too, but I'm well-rounded. I happen to know a lot of different things. Do I have a living example? No, but I'll give my 2 cents. But a lot of people out there don't give their 2 cents. They almost want to say that I'm right and I'm this and I'm that, and they want to show for it. And it's like, well, where's your winery? Where's your 20 years of bottling and reviews? And that don't happen. So you got a loudmouth in your midst. In my case, I had a lot of people who were board members telling me about the board member stuff. Problem is, that's board member stuff. It has nothing to do with the administration level that I'm at when I was doing my thing. And I'm still doing it, just in hiatus until I get out of school. But I'm still kind of doing it still. You know, he's, instead of 4 or 5 days a week working on it, now I'm like maybe 1 day a week. So, or 2 to 10 hours a week, however my day is planned. But that's the thing. When you go off and you do your thing, there's nothing wrong with asking opinions from people. And opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one and they all smell. But if you know how to ask the right question, you'll find the right opinion. My example, when I bump into pastors in my local area, first thing I ask, are you a founder or are you an employee? The employees, I just shake their hand and off I go, because they don't even know how to run a church. They just know how to motivate people. That's their job, right? But if you're a founder, you know the nitty-gritty, you know the books, you know the actual administration of running the church. And that's what's important. And when you do something like that, you go off and you have a better insight as to what you're doing in your own business. So if you're in jewelry, for instance, and you have a certain knowledge of casting or whatever case may be, you know, I might have sources on it. Say, well, hey, you know, I'm picking that up as a hobby. This is what I have. I got like 30 pounds of pewter if you need any. That kind of thing. But when you have people telling you how to run it, you know, telling you what the do's and don'ts, I am a firm believer that you get people who actually do what they do. In other words, if you got a money thing going on, taxes or whatever, you get a CNA or tax attorney. You don't talk to Joe Schmo from Idaho. That kind of shit. But don't forget, a lot of people from Joe Schmo from Idaho will come right up and they'll start dictating you what you can and can't do, you know, with your business or organization if you decide to create an organization. And you'd be surprised, they're not really at the level you're at doing what you're doing. They're at a different level, or they're a different perspective, or they just have a past experience. And what might be good for them is certainly not going to be good for you, because it's not yours. You know, what they did is not yours. You're doing your thing. You don't have to necessarily live trial by fire either. But in the same respect, be careful where you get your info from. And again, question the people who offer you the info without asking. Those are the people you want to stay away from. Those are the people you may want to sit there and say, yeah, really good. And then if you're like on like say a Facebook, you would filter them where they don't read your new updates, so they can't interject with you anymore. They're still your friend, but you're a friend there. And that's how you handle it. I've seen this again a lot of times with different people, to include myself. You know, I have had people, board members, telling me, you know, this is how things are ran. Well, it's not my organization. I'll run it my way. And oh, you can't do it. Yeah, I can. Watch. I mean, exactly. This is what you deal with. So when you have an idea, and people want to flux that idea away from you, in other words, guide you to a different direction than where your initial guidance is, unless you ask for it, take the heed. They're only interpreting what they see, what they hear, to give you that advice. So if you keep a lot of your information close to the chest, their interpretation is what is being expounded, not what they actually know. So find someone who actually knows stuff to help you find out the right questions to ask to do so, and then when you find them, take them up for a cup of coffee. And those are the right kind of people you want to talk with. Some are not so forthcoming in their information, and others, you'd be surprised what they'll tell you. So anyways, my 2 cents for you, and I wish you well. Take care and bye for now.